helmet, eh, boys? Oh, that strike struck just in front of us.
Yep.
Right. You hear another one?
Yep. Stay down. Stay down.
Yeah.
That was good.
Right, so we're under a little bit of artillery at the moment. Rocket fire coming in.
There's fighting impact. They're coming over. Now we're coming out.
You alright?
Yeah, we're good. Fucking laying Here with Willie.
Beers and battles in his first fucking little strike.
Fuck yeah.
Oh, boys.
What up, boys?
Oh, I've got a prickle in my ass.
Yeah,
The one unemployed friend on a Monday.
Yeah, bro. A prickle in your ass is literally just military, isn't it? Like, that dude, that hit just in front of us,
like
up there.
What do you think? Quarter of a mile?
Like,
half
I'm trying to think if I quarter mile,
yeah,
400 meters.
Kilometer?
Yeah. Right, so you guys can see that, I'm sure. Right, now I've sorted something out. So that is interception of rockets over Gaza as well. G'day legends, I hope that you're doing really well, and you'll notice something different. Body armour and helmet, so a little bit more protected from what we've been seeing here as well. Just before, about, I don't know, maybe 300 or 400 metres up, we had multiple artillery strikes. I'm guessing there's some footage of that as well. Body armour in country is very expensive. It costs about 2,000 Australian dollars. There's a massive supply and demand issue here for journalists, whatever. So you guys help crowdfund this. If you would like to, further support me in this mission, please feel free to donate through the links below, because I'm completely independent. All my videos on this war are demonetized, so I'm not making a cent off that. So it's purely off you guys. So thank you very much. You've brought me here, you keep me here, and you keep me safe. So thank you very much as well. So we're here in Strot, and the Gaza is about 1.5 miles, maybe a couple of kilometres directly behind me from here, and there's still a big military presence here pretty much in front of me, along with media presence as well. Now, we couldn't really get through any of these spots. We'll just wait, because there's a big military convoy moving past. So we have struggled to get through here, and even all of the Israeli media is here as well. And if the Israeli media is here, then we can't really move anywhere further. They will go as far as they can, or as anyone is allowed. But the word on everyone's mouth is this invasion. What is going to happen? Is there going to be a movement into Gaza? We're now 10 days in, and I'm still very on the fence. I know a lot of people have called me out, being like, no, 100% it's happening. And it seems to be everyone you talk to is 100% it's going on. We're going in full strike. We're just softening it up here. But I'm still unsure. And I know people will jump on me for that, but the way the Gaza is, it's so dense, and the tunnel systems, whatever, that there's going to be a degree where if you're going to clear it, you have to do it like infantry on the ground. Now, I think there's this illusion that there's not going to be that many casualties. The casualties are going to be massive from the IDF as well. There will be thousands killed if there's a move into Gaza as well, and that is something that people and commanders, politicians, whatever, who are making these decisions have to then put into their equation, along with many more thousands of civilians killed in Gaza as well. As we've seen, many thousands killed by the relentless airstrikes that have continued there. Now, a lot of that has occurred, of course, because Hamas put themselves in the civilian areas, is in the residential buildings, in the tunnels under the buildings, human shields, things like this. But you can never take away that those civilian casualties, those losses, are absolutely massive and paramount to what goes on moving forwards from here. So we'll see. I'm still on the fence of whether it will actually occur or not. The longer it goes on, the more I'm actually more leaning to that it won't actually happen, but we will see. There's of course been the massive build up here for multiple days. There's been a hell of a lot of artillery, a hell of a lot of planes. The planes have dropped, I believe, near 7,000 bombs. The artillery systems, there's 3 batteries around me now, basically a constant run of the artillery back and forward, that the Iron Dome is active. So I guess we will just see. But like I said, in those equations of yes, Hamas crossed, did terrorist acts, horrific stuff. There's been huge reaction in as well from Israel, bombing areas, residential areas, getting the Hamas terrorists, but as well killing thousands of civilians. What then will be the next move forward? And we don't know what's happening in those backroom talks with America and other countries of what is actually going on there as well, of what will the fallout be from here. And we have had the UN warn as well against war crimes that have occurred. What we do know, probably the big thing, is the water has been turned back on in Gaza. As we know, the water being turned off, that is a big no-no when it comes to all the conventions. That is just a big no-no, as well as white phos used in residential areas. But what it comes down to is what is residential when you have terrorists hiding out in those areas, and specifically doing it because of that fallout as well. Now, Israel did extend as well the amount of time to get from the north to the south, and we thought at that 24 hours, that's when the invasion would go. Now we're 48, 72, we're getting on there. So I think I'm the only person in Israel who actually is on the fence about a ground invasion there, but I guess we'll just see, and I'm more than happy to be wrong. But as what we do know is that casualties will pile up, and that if we do go in, if Israel does go in, it's going to get further and further of the casualties mounting on both sides. The question as well that is being asked, and I think it'll be asked more so once things settle down, is how did this actually happen in a very small area relatively, with so much surveillance, so many soldiers, whole battalions, whole brigades put on this? How did that actually then occur? And is there larger forces at play with Iran backing things, whatever, from there? And I got sent a message off a friend of mine who is very in the know about this, and he said to me, as a tactician though, I have to give it to Hamas. Their planning and execution of their operation was phenomenal, very unconventional, but very effective. Now let's see how the Israelis respond. It will be equally phenomenal, shock and awe. Stay safe. If you get stuck, let me know. But that is something to bring up, that this asymmetrical warfare, this is what we're seeing more and more. We're seeing it in Ukraine, we're seeing it in Africa, we're seeing it all over the world, and of course we saw it here, paragliders, drones, little boats, combat swimmers, that this is still very, very difficult for a much larger army to combat. We've talked before about like Afghanistan, where if we went back into Afghanistan now, our casualties would be far higher due to how common little drones are, how cheap little drones are, how easy they are to use and how deadly they are. Yes, our ISR capability would be dramatically more, but theirs as well would be, a lot further than what it is. So very difficult situation with that. But for the reaction that I guess Hamas was looking for as a terrorist organisation, it worked. If you're wanting to scare a population, get all over the media, and then as well, part of that is then having the bombs drop in Gaza helps that cause as well, because then they can turn around and go, look what's happening here, and the propaganda of that too. And that is, don't get me wrong, that is shocking. Some of the strikes, the footage coming out of kids, babies getting dragged out of buildings, it's heartbreaking. These are humans living under terrorist rule there. These civilians are innocent regardless of where you feel. And Israel at the moment is very passionate, it's very emotional, that people, realistically saying that we should level the whole area. Now, that is just emotion speaking, I believe, but it's easy, I guess, to from outside look in and go, no, but, it wasn't my family massacred, it wasn't my friends massacred. And someone we spoke to last night, a young lad, no older than 15 or 16, his sister is a hostage, and I believe his other sister was brutally murdered as well. So it's pretty hard to pass judgment onto someone like that when they're saying those things. So as far as everyone I've spoken to, they want to go in, they want the ground operation to go in, but I don't think that many people really understand what the toll of that will actually be. And like I said, that's going to be in the calculation well beyond all of our pay grades of you know, what is the risk versus reward.
Fuck you, Palestine! Fuck you, שכל העולם ידע, פאקינג פלסטין. פאקינג פלסטין. רק ישראל, רק ישראל, עם ישראל חי. אוהבים אותנו. עם ישראל, עם ישראל.
So we're on the 10th day of the war. As you can see behind me, this is Gaza, about 5 kilometers away. You can hear the artillery coming in from the background, but you can also see just the sheer amount of burning, the explosions that continue through Gaza as well. Now, one of the big bits of news of the day is the amount that are held hostage has been upped. So for the past 9 days, we've been looking at about 120, where now that's actually been bumped up to almost 200 at 199. But with many reports too of really unknown of the condition of those hostages, whether they have been killed, they're alive, whether they're in the firing line of strikes. You can hear more of that artillery from there. Now this is as far as we can go today. So another day past that people are expecting that we will see the ground invasion. That said, I'm not really sure on that, just due to the cost that that would actually then take, especially as Israel has complete air superiority here. There's been no real more incursions across from Hamas into Israel. So if there is going to be a ground invasion further down the line, why not take a number of weeks of continued bombing from there? Now, as well with Egypt, a lot of people have asked me about what is the situation on the border in Egypt. Now, it's sort of hard to get information. There are foreign nationals can leave Gaza, as I'm aware. So if you're there as a journalist, an NGO, you can leave. But as we know, Egypt has set up border walls as well to keep people in. But there are a number of tunnels there. And you need to remember, these tunnels this is not what you just dig in the fucking backyard. These are hundreds of kilometres of tunnels, reportedly up to 500 metres deep. And how do you clear that? People have suggested, could they pump water into them? Could they smoke the tunnels? We just don't really know. So as far as numbers, we believe that it's about 1,400 Israelis have been murdered in the campaign from Hamas into Israel. And at the moment, the numbers we're getting out of Gaza is looking at about 2,700 to 3,000 have been killed in strikes, in fighting, everything from there. But like I've said many times, expect those numbers to soar if there is then a ground invasion. If there is going to be a ground invasion, you will have massive barrages of naval, artillery, rocket fire in, then followed by a wave of soldiers through there. And like I was saying, there's no way to do a clean invasion like that. Either way, it's going to be incredibly bloody, both for Gaza residents and the terrorists living there, as well as the IDF who will be carrying out the invasion. Also, a lot of reports that up in the north, there is a real military exclusion zone, and basically everywhere within a few kilometres of the border with Lebanon has been evacuated as well. Now, what I do know is a lot of the media isn't having much success getting up into those regions, but what we are being told is there is an increase of fighting from Hezbollah, another terrorist organisation up there, firing anti-tank guided munitions into Israel, as well as mortars, shelling artillery, and Israel, of course, is striking back into Lebanon as well. Now, Iran is one of the key players in this. What will Iran's next steps be? We saw Iran showed its potential of what it can do in war with its drones and other capacities. We saw that in Russia and Ukraine, and Iranian drones have been really a big influence on that campaign going from Russia, the war, into Ukraine. We know those drones are capable. We know they're very deadly. Now, we don't know if those drones have made it into Gaza, into Hamas, whether they've got something there where they can take them in pieces, make them. We just don't know. But what we also don't know is we don't know where Hamas's next steps are. Like I spoke about earlier in this video, this was seemingly meticulously planned of asymmetrical warfare, and for the goals of carrying out terror on a community, it really worked. And it had a naval, an air, and a ground asset. This is things that we don't typically see from groups like this, is these organised, deep penetration strikes that have caused that, along with the terror of murder, rape, killing, abduction, things like that, but it does have that effect of the terror that they're trying to inflict. That said, we don't know how much more is prepared. You know, we know there's been a few thousand killed. We know some have got back to Gaza as well, but we don't really know what's next. How prepared are the tunnels? How prepared are they for a ground invasion? Could there be another wave somewhere? We know there was combat swimmers try and get into Israel as well. Are there people in Israel who are working as, I guess, almost like sleeper agents to be activated to maybe have a suicide vest, something like that? We know that Israeli authorities have arrested, detained a number of people who they suspect were going to carry out things like this. So there is that ongoing threat as well. So we don't know the actual preparation. There is a video of this is what is coming to meet you on your ground invasion, of them setting up bunkers, tunnels, RPGs, things like this. And urban combat is incredibly complex, incredibly difficult, and incredibly bloody and dangerous. Now, just down here, we still see just ambulances still heading to the nearest city as well. Of course, Gaza here, where it's fighting is, so pushing out. So there's still injured. There's ongoing fighting. But we also don't know how prepared Hamas is for what is to come, what level of preparation they have then had from other state players to help them set up, prepare weapons. We don't know if that was their best troops on that first wave or just some other troops or whatever from there. Now I'm just going to get off camera. I'm going to zoom in on this Apache helicopter we see just high here. So let me flip this over. So what I was trying to say is we don't really know what the next actual step in this for Hamas is. And at the end of the day, this could be the absolute end of Hamas if they have a failure. So what I was saying was I really hope that if Israel does do a ground incursion and they do go into the ground, that their intel, everything, you saw their ISR capability of exactly what is meeting them there. Because I do think if they've spent years preparing missiles, preparing soldiers, storm soldiers, things like this, is there more to meet them in there? And I hope they're not sort of getting funneled into a trap and they've had now more time to prepare as this has gone on now. We're coming into the 11th day tomorrow. But your guess is as good as mine. But I am hearing more and more people who originally was 100% there'll be a ground invasion, more and more people doubting maybe there won't be. And there is a lot of pressure from other players like the UN, the World Health Organization, really trying to push for humanitarian corridors to open into Egypt, for aid to get into Gaza at the hospitals. We know that even at the hospitals, they're running out of everything. They're running out of power, they're running out of diesel. We know the water's been switched on, but all of that causing a massive humanitarian issue. The World Health, the UN, they shouldn't care who's who. If they're civilians, at the end of the day, they're to look after those people, and the care can't be administered there. The doctors are running out of things, or they've probably completely run out and they're just dealing with what they've got, using bandages for a second time, things like this. Now that Apache is still very much overhead here. So inside Gaza is a terrible situation for the civilians living there under terrorists, as well as being used as a degree of shield and a political pawn as well. So hopefully we see some level of relief for the civilians there who are hurting as well. So I guess we will see from there. Anyway, thank you very much for all your support and watching this. I'll bring you as much as I can. Today's been a bit of a slower day for me, just not in the right places and getting as far as we can. And a lot of the access has been very, very limited. There was a lot sort of in the beginning and now very, very little for us. But I'll continue trying to do the best I can. If you'd like to support me, there's all this stuff, because all this, of course, is demonetized. But look after yourself. I'll see you soon. Thank you. Bye-bye.